and it is what it is. Like, I'm willing to accept that I'm not as intelligent as the guys in Bad Religion. I don't think that's a very hot take. So,
Most of
like,
us.
when you put all that stuff together, you got vocals that I'm not super into. You got lyrical content that I struggle with, and then you have just vocabulary that I don't have as much knowledge on. It's just hard for me to sit down and listen to an album and just enjoy all of it. What's up, everybody? How you doing? My name is Randall. That's Rob. This is the Punk Rock Review. We're hanging out. We're talking about two bands that have incredibly passionate fan bases, and that within the interest of transparency, one I'm a relatively new fan of, and the other I've just never been a giant fan of, but I like. So I'm kind of a surface level fan of both of these bands, but I would consider myself a fan enough to go see them play live, buy a shirt, that kind of stuff. So I like both the bands. There's nothing like, I'm not trying to say anything negative. I just don't have all the knowledge. But Rob is like a pretty substantial fan of these two bands. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the Descendents and Bad Religion. I find it funny that we always say the Descendants, but it's Descendants.
Descendants, yeah.
But and it's spelled incorrectly, which I assume is on purpose.
Yeah. Which was always okay until the Disney Descendants came out, because if you just put Descendants Band or Descendants Music, Google could always find it for you. But when that came out, because that also involved music, it just, now you have to know how to do the misspelling, which is very hard to do in a world of like predictive text to type the Descendants Band correctly. Yeah.
I have typed that so much on my phone that it automatically pulls it up, predictive misspell.
Descendants, yeah.
And I'm like, let's go. And it's all capital for me. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about our top 5 songs from each band. This is kind of a test this formula a little bit and see how it works for us. We may go to 10 songs for 2 bands each, but I wanted to just do it with 5 first and just kind of see how it went, see how long we talked. And I did do a couple of honorable mentions, so technically I guess it's closer to a 10 anyways. But I think we should go in alphabetical order. Why not? Start with the Bad Religion, go to the Descendants. How do you want to do this, Rob? Do you want to just go 5, 5, 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1?
Yeah. That way we, our stuff can be at different spots if it overlaps or whatever.
Yeah. And if you want to go, oh, that's my number, whatever, you can. If you don't want to, because we can talk about actually that might make sense. If I say one and you say like it's like your number 3 and it's my number 4, you can just say that, check it off of your list, and we'll talk about it there at one time. That's kind of how we do it on the movie podcast with the fellas. So that actually works really, really well. So yeah, all right. Okay, so Bad Religion, man. This band's been around for a long time. What year did How Could Hell Be Any Worse come out? Is that their first album?
I want to say 81, could be 82.
I almost said 81. Oh man, I should have just said it because I think I'm getting better at these little factoids because I'm reading so much these days. Like, but I believe it was 81, and they came out. I think they did. Was it how many albums before the New Wave album? Was it just
it was the second album? Yeah, it was.
Okay, what a bold move, dude! What a crazy bold move. So they did that one. They did the New Wave album. So what's their third record called?
Their third record is Suffer.
Suffer was their third one. Okay, I wasn't sure if it was that or No Control. I knew No Control is pretty early, right?
No Control is the next one after.
Okay, so I had them flip flopped. Okay, so again, like I said, surface level. But
How Could Hell Be Any Worse was 82. I just looked it up. 81, I think, was the Bad Religion EP.
Okay.
On that chronology there, with just the Crossbuster.
Oh, okay.
The original one, yeah. And then also we should note.
The Boost 81 to 85. Sorry.
Yeah. Yes. Another significant release though is Back to the Known in 1985, which is the EP where they sort of go back to punk rock and they're transitioned back. That's another significant release that you laid out kind of everything they did in the 80s there.
That this band is incredibly important, and so like let me give people my reasons behind being just a surface level fan, so that people understand. It's got nothing to do with the music being good or not, because the music's fantastic. It's objectively very good. It's more or less the vocal style. I'm sometimes really in, and I'm sometimes really out. And as we've discussed on this channel many, many times, vocals are incredibly important to me. Now, I'm not saying I have the right opinion on anything. I just have particular tastes, and these vocals either hit me really well or they don't. But it's even more than that. It's the lyrical content. I struggle with it because I'm I'm sort of religious. I wouldn't call myself like I don't go to like church every week or anything, but I'm sort of religious. I got my own opinions on things. And so I struggle with a lot of their lyrics. And then on top of all of that, these guys are incredibly educated and they say things that I simply just don't understand sometimes. And it is what it is. Like, I'm willing to accept that I'm not as intelligent as the guys in Bad Religion. I don't think that's a very hot take. So,
most of
like,
us.
when you put all that stuff together, you got vocals that I'm not super into. You got lyrical content that I struggle with, and then you have just vocabulary that I don't have as much knowledge on. It's just hard for me to sit down and listen to an album and just enjoy all of it. So, that all being said, over the years of my life, I've been into punk for 3/4 of it at this point. Um, I've listened to an awful lot of this band, and I like a lot of their music. So, coming up with the top 5 wasn't super difficult. There were a few songs that I wanted to. I'll probably just drop my honorable mentions first in a minute, but like, yeah, they basically created a sound. They created this, like, I think their first album was more of a hardcore punk record, but they got melodic very quick. With Suffer, they got very melodic. They started singing instead of yelling. They got better production, better at their instruments even, and they immediately jump off with this freaking record of classic songs. And they just create this whole like subgenre of punk, and they inspire bands like No Effects. You know what I'm saying? So, and then you have everything from No Use for a Name, Pennywise, all these other bands that come out that are clearly inspired by Bad Religion. So Bad Religion is a very important band that I love. Again, I don't have a ton of knowledge on. I love them not because I love their songs. I love them for what they did for my community and my genre and my way of life. You know, so a lot of respect goes to Bad Religion, whether I say silly shit sometimes or not. I have a lot of respect for this band. So, yeah, give me your opinion on them and how they affect you, Rob.
Yeah, they're a huge band for me. Like I said, they're in that upper echelon of, as you and I love Rancid. I'm wearing No Effects on the Ramones, and then it's kind of Bad Religion in terms of like the bands that I just I absolutely go for and also have endured for me over the years. Like, I loved Bad Religion when I was a teenager, and I love Bad Religion now. And that's for a few different reasons. One, as you said, the music. The music it's the core music that all of this other music that I really like is based off of. Like, it's the sort of Ramones of the next wave of punk in that way, that you have sort of like the Suffer is kind of like the Ramones album, that it sets everything into motion. You know me, I'm a fan of 90s punk kind of writ large is sort of where my fandom sits. And so this is sort of the big bang of all of that. And then I've just always liked everything that Bad Religion represented and in the way that they represented it. I do like the fact that they're kind of odd in punk rock of how they present themselves. And there's always been somewhat of an appeal of that to me in the way that they do it. There's an appeal in the lyricism from what you're saying of lyrics I don't understand, but makes me kind of want to like figure it out or
That's
study.
happened to me many times.
Or because like if I were to claim to know everything that they're saying in one of those songs, I'd be lying. You know what I mean? Like, there's some stuff or maybe some concepts that I'm kind of familiar with. So there is from that. And then I think finally it's just like their overall badassness over the course of 4 decades has just really resonated with me. Like, we were talking offline about something sort of related to this, but I was thinking about a year ago about this. Like, they might be the best like protest band ever. And what I mean by that is like there's a lot of like great bands from like the 60s or from all these different times in like American history that really rose up and are like these big time like protest music bands, but that kind of comes in an era and then it goes away. And like there are some exceptions. There are like the Neil Youngs and those kind of guys that sort of hold that all the way. And I would put Bad Religion in that category. Like, they've been around. They have like fiery oppositional songs to every presidential administration, from the Reagan administration all the way to the second Trump. Like, I don't think they have a song right now in Trump too, but like I think they're releasing an album next year, so we'll get plenty of those. I just don't. And on top of that, outside of like one album where you say they stylistically went different, they've basically always been in sort of a prime in that way. And that's why I think they are greater than even some of these more notable like Woodstock bands and that kind of thing, as actual like a producer of protest music in that way, because they just have such a longevity in that solid state. So yeah, I absolutely I love this band. I feel inspired often by this band, both in like real life and through music. So I have like that sort of super passion for them. And I kind of base my canon of how I like punk rock off of off of Suffer. Like I just base so many things off of. I think I have the Ramones as my first sort of thing that I look at, and then I have Suffer as my next sort of things in punk rock.
It's funny because I've talked recently a little bit about how I'm not a big fan of like early fat stuff. Like I like a lot of it. It's fine. I don't like hate it or anything. It's not my go-to stuff. And I just now realized that, yeah, I'm not a giant Bad Religion fan. So why would it make a lot of sense that I just suddenly also really did like all the stuff that they spawned? Like I'm surface level on a lot of those bands is my point. I'm not trying to hate on anybody. One of the things I want to say about Bad Religion is that one of the things that does attract me to them, even with the difficulty of understanding some of their songs lyrically, is that I never felt like they were being pretentious at all. Like, and I don't mean to just throw this band out there again, but like Propaganda, I get a different feeling from them, even though they're similar in ethos and even delivery to a degree. They're very similar, right? But I get a different feeling from them. And with Bad Religion, I get a feeling like maybe they'll sit down and talk to you about something that they're talking about. Whereas I think Propaganda would maybe yell at you instead. And I could be way off. I don't know those guys. I'm just saying this is just from my personal vantage point. I just feel like that. I'm sincerely not trying to upset anybody. So
Bad Religion is very non-confrontational to their audience in that way. Like their songs are very confrontational, but they're not really that kind of band that's like there to fight you in that way or to call you out in that kind of way that those other bands kind of would be. And I think the way that they present their lyrics, it's just when it's presented in this, like you have these two guys, one guy's like a professor guy and another guy's a big like literature guy. Those are the two primary songwriters. And when you present things in that way, it's hard to present them in a way that isn't, as you're saying, that yes, it's pretentious in the vocabulary and maybe the subject matter, but not in what it's actually meaning or talking about or in any of those kind of things that we would normally associate with that sort of class of how they're speaking.
Well, like the actual like action of bringing the songs to the table is not pretentious at all. It's not. There's no like snobby top layer. It's just this is just how we talk and behave. This is how we think. Whereas and again, this is not about Propaganda, but I've had bands where I've listened to their music and you're like, oh, they're shoving a word in here that I don't know that they even understand what it means, and it doesn't really fit. They want to sound intellectual. There's never been an instance where I've heard a Bad Religion song and thought that they did that. So my only point is like there's a lot to praise about this band for a band that I don't listen to on a daily basis and I don't have quite as high up on my list as other people might. But yeah, that all being said, let's talk about our favorite songs from this band. And because this may take us 30-40 minutes, but do you have any honorable mentions, or do you want me to kick mine off, or what?
No, I stayed pretty clear of honorable mentions for this list because I like these bands so much. I would have put so many in the catalog, so that's why I just kept mine to 5.
And I think that's why it was easy for me to have like a list of like 8 basically. And go, oh, well, I'll just make honorable mentions. I'll just categorize all these. So then I'll just do my honorable mentions. I won't go into too much detail, and you can just tell me how silly I am for having some of these songs in my honorable mention. But the one song that I could not quit listening to is So Dumb, dude, because it's such a song that you go, of course you like this song. It's called Fuck You, off of True North.
Yes.
It's incredibly catchy. And typically saying fuck you makes a lot of sense. So like I just like that song a lot. If it wasn't as new as it was and it wasn't as kind of like cheeky as it is, it might have actually cracked in my top 5, but I was like, I almost put it at number 5.
Really quick. It is a new song. It's about his son.
What?
Yes. Greg wrote it about his son finding his own way. It's basically the narrative of his son. And Greg said, like,
that's cool.
I've done my job as a punk rocker and as an intellectual. My son paved his, he did what he wanted. And so that was sort of his way of exploring that whole, like his adult son basically told him, fuck you. And so
that's awesome.
There you go. The cycle continues.
Yeah, that one almost made the list, man. But then I got 3 more that I'll just basically mention real quick and I'll get your thoughts on. Actually, you know what? I'll just mention them because I have a feeling that one of these might be in your list. But American Jesus off Recipe for Hate is a song that I've listened to that song a lot, like a lot. And on any other day, if we were doing a top 10 list, it would absolutely be on my list. 21st Century Digital Boy was one that I listened to towards the end of all this, and I almost felt this like pang of like regret, like, oh man, I should put that on my list. But I looked back at my list and I thought, my list makes sense for me. If you know me, then you listen to my list, you're going to go, okay, this is a list that he would make. So I just kept it to the songs that I felt represented me the best. And then lastly, I put in What Can You Do off Suffer. just a really catchy song that I found myself going back to just to make sure it wasn't going to make my list. But I went back to it like multiple times, and that tells me that I should at least mention the song. But dude, there's dozens of songs throughout this band's career that I could have put on this list. That this is a subjective list. Anybody's got a problem with our lists, they're not paying any attention, because it's not a definitive list of like the best. No, it's our favorite songs, our top five. So, with that, I'll let you go ahead with your number 5.
Yeah, and I didn't have any, I don't have any that you had there on my
list. Cool. So yeah, respond to some of those then.
If this was the greatest Bad Religion songs of all time, obviously I think American Jesus and 21st Century Digital Boy. Like, you could not tell the story of that band without those songs and knowing those songs. They're slightly outside for me, and I felt pressure with both of those. But like I said, it's not. This isn't their greatest hits, so that
tells you how much of a surface level fan I am. Is because all the songs I picked, with the exception of maybe one, and then "Fuck You," are like obvious picks. Like, all the ones I have are, and I felt kind of dumb, but I was like, but these are the ones I like, man. It is what it is. I like what I like, and I'm not gonna.
Well, all the ones you mentioned, and all but one song I have are live staples. So, I wouldn't say we're doing a ton of deep diving here on this one. So much so that my number 5, coming off of Suffer, is the song even more so than Suffer that I associate with the album. It is Do What You Want, which to me is just a slightly better song than Suffer on like the degrees. If there was an honorable mention, maybe right there, it would be Suffer, almost hitting that spot. Love the song for a couple of reasons. First of all, I love, and Bad Religion does this in a lot of songs where it's just the two guitarists going at the beginning with like the melody of the song, and then the whole band comes in. And I really like when they do it on Do What You Want. I don't know what like the exact chord progression is, but it's a very similar one that they use in a lot of their songs. And something about it sounds evil. Like, it's hard to get like skate punk to always sound evil and menacing before it gets like too metallic, but those chords together just kind of like sound like that. And then lyrically, again, I love it. Let me go. This part right here. Like, if I ever gave a commencement speech and I'm like the czar of the world, so I can't get canceled or anything like this, the last like little part in this song would be what I would tell the students. So do what you must, do all you can, break all the fucking rules, and go to hell with Superman and die like a champion. You hate.
Yeah, hey.
Run through a wall if you hear that. And I believe, can't confirm this, and I could confirm this, I just haven't. I believe it's the first yeah hey in the canon, which, if you know Bad Religion, they are known for the finger points and the yeah-hey. So I think that's where the yeah-heys originated from.
Okay. I'm looking up lyrics real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, spoiler, that is on my list as well.
Right.
But it's way up at number 2. That song is like number 2 for me. Off, like you said, off of Suffer. I put, ironically, this song is pretty relevant today. I struggle with songs with lyrics like this since I am sort of religious, but I think that it's good. We should be able to think on things. I think that's how we change as humans and grow as humans. The song is short, sweet, to the point. It's a great anthemic. It's just one of those ones that, like, when I first heard Suffer, this was probably the song that I listened to the most. It was on a ton of different mixtapes that I made. It was, I mean, do what you want, bro. If I live by any credo in this world, it is do what you want, bro. Like, I don't ask permission very often. So this is basically like my Bad Religion theme song. And yes,
what a punk anthem. Yeah, right? Like, geez.
Dude, do what you want, bro. Yeah, do what you want, man. You're not going to hear any argument from me, my guy. So
even Greg has talked about within the band where you have a doctor, you have a surfer, you have a record label guy. Even that's kind of their motto as the years have gone on. It's like, we're all going to do what our own independent thing, and then we come back together, for the Bad Religion thing.
Dude, absolutely, man.
So what
that song is so good, bro.
It's great that we're one song in and we already have a crossover on the list.
This one probably won't be on your list because it's so just corny and obvious why I picked it. What song do you think it is? I bet if I told you the album, you'd guess it immediately.
A corny and obvious song that you picked.
Yep.
I have no idea, but with Bad Religion, that doesn't stand out with me. That's hard.
Television off of
Okay.
So I put down, I mean, obviously, right?
That's
my
kind of punk rock affirmative action we're doing right there.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously, right? I'm a Tim Armstrong stan, but this song actually fits both vocalists very, very well. So I listen to it a lot because I'm like, well, I can get some Rancid out of a Bad Religion song, so I like a Bad Religion song better. So to me, it just makes a lot of sense. It reminds me of Rancid's '93 album a lot, with the tone and melody too.
Mhm.
And that's an album that's got, you know, a lot of importance to me. But you know, is it this grand important song? No, but it's it's one that, like, when I was on the fence about buying Stranger Than Fiction, I was like, oh, Tim Armstrong's on a song. Well, that one has got to be a song I'll like, and so I bought it. Well, that whole album is pretty great, and um, I think had it not been for this song, I might not have even bought the record. At least not when I, you know, when I did. And yeah, dude, it's just a great song, man. It's catchy. It's fucking, it's got Tim Armstrong in it, bro. Why would I not like this? How could this possibly, on a band that I really like? Okay, if this is like a Pennywise list, I love Pennywise, right?
Mhm.
They're like my version of Bad Religion. They're my
Mhm.
Bad Religion. I like that band like you like Bad Religion. Well, I wouldn't have to pick the Rancid, so the Tim Armstrong song, because there's just dozens of Pennywise songs that I know I love, and I know the words to them. I sing them all the time. I make mixtapes. This guy, I could probably make 3 90-minute mixtapes of Pennywise without much overlap. It wouldn't be hard. So, Television is a fantastic track. But how do you feel about that song? I mean,
Yeah.
it's not on your list anywhere.
No, it's not on my list. It's a great song. The speed of that song is great, and then the way Tim is used, I think, is really interesting. Like when they're just doing the television part, and then he does what he, like he said he used to do a lot on Let's Go and on the title album, where he's just fitting in a million words into those
Yep.
verses as he's going. So it's essentially, if I had to pick on the binary, almost more of a Rancid song in the way it's put together. It can almost
Maybe
be
that's why it reminds me of Slut 93 so much.
yeah, Rancid. Like in a reverse world, it's Rancid featuring Greg Graffin on vocals, and that would almost be believable, except for there's no Matt Freeman bass on there. I think it's a really interesting too, just from the idea of it even happening. Like that's the only feature on that album, so to speak, and that's like the first album to be really one. No, not I'm lying about this, but it's a major label album in '94, and Bad Religion's like one of the first bands to sign, and Rancid isn't signed, and it's before, you know, Out Come the Wolves comes out. So that's kind of a big deal with your major labal debut. Like this, we don't think about it now, but at the time, Rancid's like the hot young band, and you were
I didn't
featuring
even
their
consider all
singer.
that. That's a
Like,
very valid point.
it's almost like a like in some sense we think of the hierarchy of, you know, like Bad Religion, you know, being something that kind of helped birth something like Rancid, but it's also in that case, it's like they're putting on the cool guy in Tim Armstrong, which think about a time when Tim Armstrong was the young hip cool guy, but there was a time that was the case.
Dude,
That's exactly what they were doing.
He's on the whole song, bro. Like, I wonder who wrote the lyrics. It doesn't really sound like Tim Armstrong lyrics to me.
Well, and the thing about it is too, is like I've always wondered how much Brett really has influenced their sound, because they say he's so involved with their production. They joke he's the fifth member. So that's why I wonder like how much of that music do they kind of collaborate on? And so Brett did write a lot on that album, even though he never toured on the album and left the band shortly after. I think his writing influence was pretty strong on Stranger Than Fiction.
Man. Yeah, Television, man. Song I really enjoy.
All right. So let's go with my number 4, which represents an album that strangely had. So this was crazy about this list for both bands. There's albums I adore that have no representation on this list, just because by the time I got to 5, there just wasn't anything.
I kind of made a point to not do that because it almost happened like that too, where I was like picking off of 2 albums and that was the whole thing. I was like, well, that's dumb. Like, especially with the other band, dude, with the Descendants, I had to make sure and pick like different eras because I was
that one, yeah, especially a band like that is so subdivided. So this one comes off of 2002's Process of Belief. For me, that was my Bad Religion. So I've always had a lot of bias towards that album because I was around when it came out. But this one is the one deep cut I think I have on this list. And it's a deep song into the album. It's the song You Don't Belong, which is a deep song on the back half of this song.
I don't even familiar with that one.
Yeah, no, let me explain. It's kind of a bit of almost like a shout out song in some ways, in that the narrative of the song, and I should say, I wrote down for all of these who wrote everything. So Brett wrote Do What You Want on the previous one. Now, the songs aren't individually credited on Process of Belief, so I have no idea who wrote this one, but the basic narrative of the song is Greg goes through all these punk figures from the 80s, and like there's whole Reddit threads on who everyone is, and like some like Milo is literally in the song, and then there's a lyric that says Milo went to college, but you knew about that. But you know, Rodney playing our records, referring to Rodney on the Rock. Gigi started riots. Jack wore a skirt, but he knew how to scrap. Talking about Jack from TSOL, and again, some people will go deep and can identify basically everyone in this song. So it's that recollection of the past on their reunion album, but also it's some of the choruses that really like stick out to me because there's sort of like a lecture from Greg in the middle. Like I'll give one out there. It says, "Hey, you, is there something worth belonging to, or can I pick it up for a song or a diploma or a worthy cause? Well, tell me that there's nothing wrong. It's just the ones like us that'll never belong." And there's sort of these inner parts where it's sort of encouraging, like, what was the point of all that? And what are we doing moving forward? Like, and at the end, he kind of refers to everyone as like, we're this confederacy of the wrong, but we've known it all along. And it's one of the first songs I've ever heard that caught like the scope of punk rock or of a band being around for 20, 30 years and really encompassing all that. And what does it mean for them going forward? And as the band reforms, it's just one of those songs that, again, I'm not going to get a lot of support on people saying that's one of their favorite Bad Religion songs. It just personally really resonates with me. I feel like Greg is always talking to me, like, as I'm a fan of everyone he's talking about in the verses, when he does those choruses, I always feel like I'm just sort of sitting up and listening. And it's like it's like this call to action. I guess that's what it is. It's a combination of this like shout out nostalgic song and then a call to action on top of that. And it's late in the album, and I think Process of Belief is a really good album. So is everything they did in the 2000s is really good, but those first three they did. That's when Brooks Wackerman came in, which I think a really underrated thing for a punk band to do is like, once you've established your sound, pick up a metal drummer or a really good drummer. And it feels like these bands just go to like a whole nother level when they level up with some of these drummers. And when they got Brooks Wackerman, like their sound really was able to expand. And I think the back half of that album has a lot of kind of more experimental songs that are definitely worth checking out for those of you who are just into the more big time Bad Religion songs.
That's awesome. I wrote that one down so I can go back and listen to it later.
Yeah, it's an odd one, but
I don't have a lot to say about it because I don't recall the song, so I'm not familiar with it. But yeah, my number 4 is an album we're going to be talking about a lot, I assume, off of Suffer. Give You Nothing. I love that song, man. I wrote down super catchy and melodic. Fantastic live song. It's got a great breakdown in it. I used to skate like a maniac to this song, bro. Like, this is one of those songs that was on all my boom boxes all the time. I loved this song, dude. Because the breakdown, when you're skateboarding, if it's all fast music, you can't get into a rhythm. But when the music slows down a bit, you can do your like pedaling. And then when it's slowing down, you're doing like flat ground stuff. I don't know. This is the way my brain works. So like, it was a perfect song for like skateboarding, especially back in high school, right? The vocal pattern, but they never can see all that shit that they do. I love it, bro. It's just so addictive, man. It's an earworm. The song is amazing. Give You Nothing, bro. Give you me, I give you nothing. Fucking shit's ridiculous. I don't even know if I understand all their songs, dude. I probably don't, but I just love it. It's so good.
But like, you don't need to understand every lyric to kind of get the point of what he's singing there. So
I'm just very self-conscious these days. Bro, yeah. I've been going through it the last few weeks, bro. I'm like really just like, I don't want to get the shit kicked out of me on the comments today. Can we do this next week, guys? Can you just give me a week and then you can come in and just take a shit on me? Like, that's probably going to actually have the opposite effect. I'm getting the diarrhea this week, bro. It's coming, dude. Yeah, man. I love that song. I don't know if it's on your list or not, but it's not.
It's a great song. I like the way the defiance in it too. Of like,
yes,
do I give you nothing, and then you're talking about like the music and how it slows down and then kind of like, and then changes a little bit. And that's I feel like that's one of the first instances of that. And like we always talk about, and we'll talk about a lot. Like part of what Bad Religion did is they sourced their music from like 70s punk and then classic rock, and it's the combination of those is what makes up the band. And a lot of when you can see that is when they slow their music down, but they don't have a whole lot of actually slow songs. It's a lot of songs that midway through the song do exactly what you're talking about. It's usually the same chord progression and everything else, just slowed down to that essence, and it creates a nice contrast. And like you said, you talk about from a skate perspective, but I think even from when you're in the mosh pit or just liking a song, like if you're at that level all the time, then there's no contrast. Like, that's the thing. When do I relax? When do I get up? What do I get up for? And there's something about being at that level for the whole time, and that can be fun. But I think what really gives these song colors is like you're saying, is putting in those ups and downs.
Absolutely, man. And having like the fast part, you can just ride fast, do all your stuff, and then you just cruise out on the breakdown. You know what year did Suffer come out? Do you know?
88, I think.
88.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of man, I almost said DRI. What was the other band? Not DRI. The one that's thank you, baby. The band that we were just talking about. I think it was me and Nitty. Has like the why can't TSOL? I knew it was an initial band. I feel like between TSOL and then songs like "Give You Nothing," you can hear a lot of early Offspring, but specifically that dun, 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 and then the way he was singing, and also the recording style and the mix and everything, it sounded like early Offspring to me. Which I guess I had that backwards. Early Offspring sounds like they probably heard this song and really enjoyed it, and then their early material had a little dash of this in there. But yeah, well, really.
Brett said he got interest in the Offspring because their album sounded so much like a TSOL album. Like that's what.
That doesn't surprise me even a little bit.
Why he knew they were like cool, I guess. You know.
I mean, I personally really think it's fun when I can listen to a band and be like, yeah, this band reminds me a little bit of my other favorite bands, like that band Taker that I was talking about earlier. Shout out Taker. They're from Buffalo, New York, man. If they're a brand new band, as far as I know, but they got an album out. It's brand new. It's really, really good. But like when I'm listening to them, I'm thinking like, oh, they remind me of these three bands. No, they don't sound like one of those bands, but they remind me of equal parts, all of them. I like that because if I can grab onto something, I'm gonna immediately like your music, and I will find all your what would you call it? All your individual sounds and style. I'm gonna find that, but I need to get introduced to it somehow. So I'd rather be like, oh, this sound's got a familiar sound to me. I'm gonna grab a hold of it and then look into it. And I think that songs like this, it's fun to me because I can later on listen to bands like The Offspring and go, oh man, the sound kind of feels like a Bad Religion sound. I don't know. I find that to be fun. Some people hate it, but I don't understand the whole who sound like somebody else, dude. Yeah, everybody sounds like somebody else, with the exception of like 20 bands in the history of music. Like, what are we talking about?
I mean, we really have to go back far to find someone who does like. Okay, the Ramones created punk rock. They sound like the Beach Boys. I mean, and the Beach Boys sound like whatever else from the 50s.
It's all a derivative of something.
There's only 12 notes. Come on, guys.
People are weird, man. Like, it's so strange that I need them to sound original. Why? If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Like, why are you trying to mess with something that's working?
Well, it might mean you have nothing to say if that's the case too, right?
Okay, yeah. It's interesting, man. But that's my number 4. Give You Nothing off of Suffer.
Okay, so number 3, I'm gonna stay in the process of Belief. And again, this was hard because there was a lot of those songs at the top end of Process of Belief that I just find very, very good. But I ended up going with Kyoto Now, which looking at it might be. And
I've never heard any of these songs you're picking.
So like Bad Religion is known, for their fiery political sort of lyrics, and that's their cornerstone. This is the only political song overtly political song of them I have on this list, which is just a weird thing. I go to Bad Religion for a lot of political music, but I didn't have it. Now, Kyoto Now is something that is very, very interesting because it's about a specific sentiment from literally the turn of the century, 25 years ago.
Damn.
And it's I believe it's something to the effect of there was like the Kyoto Accords or the Kyoto Conference, which was it's basically the same thing that the Paris Accords were 10 years ago. If you were following things like international agreement of large countries and what they were going to do to scale their production of fossil fuel, all of that kind of, we're way past even talking about all that now. You know what I mean? We've blown past any of these sort of guardrails these days, but that was sort of the idea of Kyoto Now was sort of a saying that was said in late 90s period about that. At the time that I think the US was a part of it, and then the US kind of shockingly backed out of it, and that became a big old deal. So the individual lyrics are about that, about will we as humans, which a lot of the songs are about, whether you take it as environmentalism or just in general, a lot of their songs are, will we as humans destroy this planet in whatever way, or will we become extinct? Will we all kill each other and doing all this? And
do we have all of the above as an option?
Yes.
I'm choosing all of these.
Correct. Everything that was predicted in a Bad Religion song has basically come true about like 40 to 60 years before any of it was projected. But really, the thing about Kyoto Now that always got me was this one part in I think it's the second verse, and just these lyrics to me is what kind of connected the idea in my brain that punk rock wasn't just about like breaking windows and being, and like all of that kind of stuff. And like, they could be connected to anything else. And these are the lyrics that goes, you might not, it says, we can't do nothing and think that someone else will, you might not think it matters now, but what if you were wrong? You might not think there's any wisdom in a fucked up punk rock song, but the way it is cannot persist for long. A brutal sun is rising on a sick horizon. Again, copy and paste that to yesterday. And I think that's so relevant. And I think there's this other thread too. It's like, I think Bad Religion knows, and everyone's aware, like punk rock is not going to save the world. No art is going to save like the world in that kind of way. You know what I mean? It's just it's a piece that we can rally around and find common cause with, and maybe can help connect people, but ultimately like bigger change, by people in power and those kind of things have to happen. But with all of that said, and they have a lot of songs to that effect, but with all that says, it doesn't mean that the wisdom and stuff we're looking for isn't right here in just some of this stuff that we're talking about. That always resonated with me. We're like, wait, the stuff that these guys are talking about, it's only BS because the people in power are telling you that the things that punk rockers stand up for is BS. And like there's there is value to it there. And like, and you start and there's a lot of different ways to take punk rock and to think what punk rock should be. And there's a lot of different versions of how punk rock's been presented. But for me, when I heard that song along with all that, it kind of clicked something in my brain that kind of connected in that way, like punk rock to activism and to not even necessarily any specific political ideology, but just doing what you feel is freaking right and right for everyone, and not just for me, not just for you, but just for us all. And I think Bad Religion has helped me very much come to that worldview.
There's not a lot of people that are willing to accept that. Most people are selfish. Most people don't want to do. I mean, we were just talking about that a minute ago with like, well, it's not my problem. I'm going to turn my head this way. And if I don't have to look at it, then I won't be bothered by it. And I don't understand that. Like, I think that as a people, I think that the earth is going to naturally degrade. As people, we're going to naturally do that. But I'm talking about just within, you don't have to rush it. You don't have to just make it, I don't know. I don't understand by putting it on the fast track. You could still try to take care of the earth. You could still try to be kind to each other. But the more people that are here, the worse it is for the earth. Okay. That's very, very obvious. But there are things we can do to take care of the planet and to take care of each other. And we choose to not do it a lot. And it's all in the name of the dollar, right? It's never about anything else. It's not even really about power. It's about money. I guess money and power kind of go hand in hand, but yeah. What's the song called again?
Kyoto Now.
Kyoto Now.
Yeah. And the other thing about it too, that I forgot, I talked about the lyrics a lot, is it has that similar sort of vibe as what I was talking about with Do What You Want at the beginning. Okay. It's a little bit, he's throwing the lyrics in, but it's just pretty much the lyrics and the two guitars just sort of doing like that buzzsaw kind of thing before the rest of the band comes in, and it turns into more of the galloping kind of sound.
Man, that is a deep cut, sir. I don't know much about that song, so I'm going to listen to it as well. My number 3 is another obvious pick. It is Kerosene off A Recipe for Hate.
Good one. Good deep cut. I would call that a deep cut.
Yeah?
Deep enough cut,
That song reminds me of my youth. I don't know how to explain it other than what year did Recipe for Hate come out? Do you know what year?
93, I want to say.
Okay, so I'm trying to remember when I got that record. I was going to say 95 or 6 was probably when I got it, which is probably pretty accurate. I probably got it around 96, I would think. Age 14 or 15.
93, yeah, I came out 93.
But that song, for whatever reason, Kerosene, the lyrics, man, when I lost my dad, that song like stuck out to me. Like I would be listening to music, and for some reason, because like when you're going through trauma like that, you're going through pain like that, loss, sitting and watching a lamp burn ain't so bad. Like, and I don't know that I ever watched a lamp burn, but I certainly sat and watched candles burn all the way down. And I just sat there and watched it, and just melted and melted and melted for like a couple of hours. And it might go out, but I distinctly remember sitting on a chair just watching a fucking candle melt. And I can't remember if it was like the day of or something, but it was around that time. And I was zoned out, like just in songs like this. I went through stuff like that, listened to this music. So now when I listen to songs like this, it's therapeutic. Like I listen to it and I go, oh man, it reminds me of a really hard time. But like this was the good part of that hard time was I had something to latch on to. I had a song that I could relate to. I had this feeling that I got, and I thought, man, this guy knows what I'm feeling right now. I don't know what he was actually talking about in that song, but I can tell you that at that time, it felt like he was talking about losing somebody. I don't have a clue that's what it's about. But for me, Kerosene is about losing somebody. It's about pain and just having to like deal with it. And then, well, it's tomorrow. I guess I got to go back to what I was doing. Don't really want to, but don't have much of a choice because the whole world doesn't give a shit what I'm going through. Like, so, like, you know, at the risking going super deep and dark with this, but like, this song is for me a very heavy song. I don't actually know if it's one of their prettier songs. So yeah, man, Kerosene, great song. It'll get me emotional talking about it, and it also is a kind of a vulnerable topic. Like I don't really talk about my dad a whole lot. I miss my dad, of course I do, but I didn't really know him very well, and he was kind of a shithead. So like it's it's odd that he would come up in my brain so much. Hold on one second. Parker and I got I'm doing this deep talk, and Parker's like, hello.
That was the best part. Yeah.
What's up, buddy? I'm working right now. Give me a second, okay? Just checking. You hear me? Dude, he's a funny kid, bro. I think I can hear mom being like, leave your dad alone for a minute.
I was like, now he's doing what he's told and being quiet, and I just want to respond.
Love you, buddy. I'm turning mine off for a few minutes, okay, pal? Is that him coming down the hall? Dude, I love the organic, natural, weird stuff that happens during my podcasts with that kid because it's regular. He just busts in here like, hello. Sorry about that.
That's perfect timing.
How do you feel about? I mean, honestly, dude, talking about my dad and having
that was what you were talking about, and then your son comes in. Yeah, that's yeah.
That kid's my world, dude. My kids in general are my world, but that's the one I hang out with the most because he's little. So that's my little partner in crime. How do you feel about Kerosene or Recipe for Hate? We really haven't talked about that album much yet. So
yeah, it's an interesting one. I like a lot of Recipe for Hate, but I understand like that album, and they started with Generator, but that album especially, they kind of threw everything at the wall. And that album is very like experimental compared to all the other stuff they did on Epitaph. It was the one right before they went to Atlantic. And even the stuff they have on Atlantic isn't as experimental as a lot of the stuff that happened on that album, including Kerosene. Like Kerosene kind of feels like they were trying to write a country song.
Dude, I mean, it does feel like a country song, kind of.
Still guitar in it, and the way it's delivered, and that's what I'm saying. It was like the first few times I heard it, it threw me off as like a Bad Religion song. You know what I mean? Because it was just like it was so weird, and I just remember that very distinctly because you have that other song that's on that album that's like the first song on Recipe for Hate, like the Sword of Progress, that song, and then I think the second or third track is Kerosene. It's a pretty big left turn right out of the bend, I think, and I don't have the lyrics in front of me. I think it's kind of like a Let Them Eat Cake premise in the song about like we'll burn the cities down with the kerosene that'll also keep them warm, that'll also be used to destroy them. I think it's something to that effect. I could understand it being like an emotional song just without any context, in that the song itself, there's a certain sadness to the way it's kind of delivered. And I think it's probably because that country's that steel guitar and the minor chords in there. It's just
maybe that's what it is that reminds me of my dad so much, because like my dad would, if he was to listen to a Bad Religion album, this is a song he'd be like, I like that one, because my dad listened to that slow, sad country music on a daily basis, man.
And the guys from Bad Religion, to my knowledge, are not really, they're big fans of like very classic country, like Brett's a historian, in Sun Records and all that kind of stuff. And Greg does a lot of that like Americana music with his solo stuff.
Right.
But this is like them just trying to do 90s country and putting that early 90s country and putting that in there. But again, Recipe for Hate has this. It's got Stealth. It's got like almost a proto like new metal industrial kind of song on it. They just have a lot of different things.
That album is very diverse.
Threw out there on Recipe for Hate. Yeah. Along with American Jesus, which is like their most stereotypical Bad Religion song that they have. So that's
right. And that's one of my honorable mentions. That album's got a couple of great songs on it. I remember when I was young, I bought that album because I thought the cover was tough. I was like, this cover's badass.
And the dogs with the suit.
Dude, I was like, that cover's awesome. And then the name of it, Recipe for Hate.
Mhm.
Like, honestly, man, when you're young and pissed off, that'll get your attention.
It's funny that Bad Religion and Reality are like the nerdiest punks that we've ever produced, but they have like the coolest like iconography and imagery in the way they
They
present
really
that stuff.
do. They
Yeah.
really do have some, well, iconic imagery. I mean, there's not a much better way to say it. Yeah, Bad Religion's awesome.
All right, let me get to my top two. Now, here, these top two, for me, were like I knew exactly I was gonna. I didn't know where I was gonna exactly slot them, but I knew these were the two that were gonna be on the list. And again, they're neither one of these are deep cuts, but they're not. I would say typical of why I like Bad Religion. So at number two from 1990 on Against the Grain, I have Anesthesia. Now,
Oh, okay.
Anesthesia is a cool kind of, it's another Brett song. It's a very narrative based song where he's telling like this story. And you have your own takeaway. There's all kinds of big metaphors and all of that. I like the lyrics, but this sounds funny. I don't really care about them. What I like is just how they flow off of Greg's voice in this song. That's the thing that just really appeals to me. It's almost like a poetry kind of thing. I like the rhythm of it. I like how he sings it, how he puts everything, how he kind of puts everything together. And the lyrics are like kind of cool, but they just like, they don't mean anything to me. You know what I mean? Like I've read the story. When I read it and read the story, I kind of follow along and I get it, but it doesn't resonate with me as a story. Just when he goes through, like Anesthesia, Mona Lisa, I've got a little gun and here comes oblivion. I never loved you. How did you find me? Call the cops and it'll never prove complicity. It's just like a cool dramatic reading of how he's doing those lines. And then at the very end, it does those things we were talking about earlier, where it's the entire song, but it just starts going really slow as it fades to the outro. And as a result, it sounds like a much bigger sound when they start slowing down. So it sounds like, again, it's not exactly like industrial rock, but it almost sounds like that stuff that's recorded in like an industrial kind of manner. It's got that kind of feel to it when it starts getting slow, and it gets more of a rock feel. And it's like it's the conviction in which he sings it, the sort of the passion in which he sings it. Lyrics, I can take them or leave them with the song, but the words to me are perfect in the way that they're set there.
Interesting. It's another song that I don't know much about, but I find it interesting that a band that is so often thought of as singular in style has so much diversity when you really get past you dig past the top level, the crust. You get past the crust, you really get into the meat of what this band sounds like. There's a lot of diversity there, and I think that it gives them a lasting. They don't get old as fast as you would think. Because if a band just sounded like the same thing, like I hear people often say like Pennywise, they always make the same album over and over, and I've never understood that because I don't think I've personally heard a Pennywise album and been like, yeah, that sounds just like their one before it. I think they have a style and they stick to the style, but even within that style, they've got all kinds of sounds that they use, and their albums are all produced quite a bit differently.
I'm starting to think that sentiment is just, it doesn't apply to non-pop bands, or like, you know what I mean? Like, cause it's really only pop bands that try all these different styles to kind of fit in with things. Like now you can say like Green Day has a few different albums where they did some things, but I think like
sort of, they're still all Green Day, except
that's what, and that's the one album I'm thinking of. I hear that criticism a lot and it always goes to punk bands, but I just think that's sort of the nature of a punk band. Like, I don't know.
I mean, dude, Metallica, once they stopped doing just thrash, people hated them. Like, I mean, once you start getting outside of your box, people don't like you anymore. So why would you do that? So people complain that you do that? Like, what are we doing here, man? It's these, you know what it is that you can't please nobody, man. People are just, they're going to complain, bro. Like,
well, and it's a naked ear too. And it's also like, I feel like the people who make that criticism are people who don't actually like, it's a funny thing to say, but like, you are analyzing the music, but don't like you have to have some, you can't be completely unbiased when you analyze music because it is an artistic thing that you have to fill a little bit. And I think if you have no filling for punk rock, it's hard to distinguish what's different between, Straight Ahead and Land of the Free. You know what I mean? But those albums have completely different contexts and so much different things to them, and the way that they're presented, and there's little sonic differences. And like I've heard Bad Religion get I think they call it like Ramones syndrome or something like that. They call where it's like the criticism is they have one sound, they made the same album. Oh, and again, not true of the Ramones either.
Also, even the Ramones had a pretty diverse catalog.
I mean, it's none of these guys. It just to the naked ear, the two Pennywise songs from 13 Years of Difference sound similar, but that it's just because they don't have an R&B song. Like what are we really doing? You know?
I think that the people that say stuff like that are typically people that aren't going to be fans of the band anyways. So
Right.
like, what do we care what they think? But it comes up all the time in like comment sections, and I'm always like, what, dude? Even Blink-182, like they basically sound like once they transition into their sound, they just sound like that other version of the band now.
Well,
Like
that's the case with
Pink
Bad
Floyd
Religion,
has a
right?
diverse catalog.
Mhm.
Pink Floyd has but they're like I don't know what to call them, a classic rock jam band type shit.
Well,
Like,
more progressive. I think
yeah. And it's like, so of course they're going to have many different sounds on different albums, but like even the Beatles have whole entire chunks of their catalog that just sounds like rock and roll.
Mhm.
And then they have their experimental stuff. But yeah, I think most punk bands don't really do the experimental thing. They're punk bands. Like that's why we like them.
Because they do a new wave album and we'll hate them forever, as is the case with Bad Religion. So
I love
reason why
this
they don't do
conversation,
it.
bro. Yeah, man. Look, what was your number one song? Because my number two we've already talked about.
Okay, so my number one.
Yeah, I'm surprised we didn't have any more crossover than this.
Yeah, I kind of am too. And we had a lot of like frontline Bad Religion songs. So number one, and I again not a deep cut, I looked on Spotify, and it is the number 2 after American Jesus most streamed song in Bad Religion's catalog. But it is You off of No Control.
Oh, that's a good song.
Again, not like there's some political interpretations, but like Brett has said, this was he wrote it as a relationship kind of song, which Bad Religion has a fair amount of those in their catalog. You just kind of have to look for them. There's a few things about this song that I've always loved. I love like the 3 or 4 notes that all the stringed instrument, the bass and the guitars play at the beginning. And it just, for me, I don't know what, if it musically connects like this, but it almost like goes in a circle the way do 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 do, and the whole song kind of has that like circular appeal to it. And again, I think for me, what gets me is the way that Greg delivers some of the parts in the chorus. You know, where he talks about where please try not to be impatient, for we all hate waiting in line and all that. And just the urgency he delivers that under such fast music underneath, and the way his voice is like really clear out of it. I think it's kind of like a textbook Bad Religion song, and sort of shows all those strengths that they have within one song. And then the other thing it does is it has a little bit of a slow part too, you know, where it just becomes him and a little bit of him and the guitar at the end, and some of the like more spoken parts, which adds, as we're talking about, Bad Religion, even within their songs, have a lot of dynamics, and their songs sound different even within their songs. We're talking about albums and the catalog sounding different. Even within the songs, they switch pace pretty often.
I'm looking up the all ages track list real quick. I want to see. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Because I was listening to you, but I was thinking about my song, and I was like, why was this one my favorite song? And I actually thought about it. I was like, wait, I don't know if that's true or not, but I think that this is why. And then I looked something up, and I was like, oh, that's exactly what it is. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to I was listening to you, but my brain went click. I need to do this before I forget, because I have incredible ADHD. So, yeah, man. I mean, You is a song that I enjoy. It is one that I went back to a couple times. I wasn't sure if it was going to make my list or not. Ultimately, it obviously didn't, but I like the song. I don't know what else to say about it other than that. I don't have a lot of context. There's a lot of Bad Religion songs that I like, and then I hear them and I go, damn, this is a really good song. And then when it comes down to making a list, a lot of them don't make the cut.
Mm-hmm.
They have an overwhelming amount of like quality within their music. Like there's not a lot of songs. That's actually it's almost a critique negatively even. Like they've got so much that's like really good. So they have some that are like, whatever. But then they've got a bunch that are like way, 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 way good, but they've got way more that are just like really good. So they have this like consistency that it almost is a detriment to their popularity for me.
Yeah, because there's no like improvement or contrast, really.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're saying it better than I am. I'm over here trying to talk and I can't.
Well, because like there's not bad Religion. There's just like average Bad Religion. Like even the album they have in '98.
A handful of songs that I really go, ugh, that's bad.
It's not bad. It's just the worst thing they ever put out. You know what I mean? And like that is kind of what it is.
That's funny that a band's like, but we're consistently good. That's why you don't like us. I'm like, I don't know how to explain it, man.
Human criticism is ridiculous.
Yes, I'm an idiot sometimes. But my number one song is very obvious. It's "I Want to Conquer the World" off No Control.
That was a tough one to keep off.
Yeah, it's another song with lyrics I'm a little bit conflicted on, but each verse talks about somebody different. It's just the first one gets me a little bit like, oof. I feel like I'm maybe putting the mirror up to me. I don't know, man. Maybe it's questioning my own self. I'm not saying why I'm conflicted by these things. I just know that I am.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a perfect punk rock song. They call everybody out.
It takes out everyone. Every verse takes out a different,
They call out everybody with the song. But my favorite Bad Religion album to this day is All Ages. It was the first one that I got that I loved. And the very first song on All Ages is "I Want to Conquer the World." And I was like, why did I love that song so much? It's because every time I put that fucking album on, the first song I heard was this one. So if I only listen to 3 songs, well, I'm listening to this one every time. But I had it on a bunch of mixtapes, and it was one that I remember skateboarding to. So this was another one. I think all 5 of these were on a bunch of my mixtapes, and that's kind of why they hold a special place in my heart, is because I'm looking at this from like, what did they mean to me when I was a kid? So when I was a kid, I certainly didn't understand them all, but it was like, which ones were catchy melodic? That's, if you look at these, they're all catchy melodic songs. Well, yeah, that's, dude, something I need to address about myself almost. The other night, I just realized that the most important thing to me in music is melody. So like when I first hear a band, if they don't have any melody at all, I'm probably not going to like them. It is what it is. They call it not punk, call it whatever you want. I don't really give a shit. But vocals are also really important, and I like weird vocals. So like I need melodic music with an interesting vocal style. If you can combine those two, I'm almost certainly going to be like a big fan of your music. But there's a lot of these bands that they have melodic music and kind of too poppy vocals, or they have no melody in their music and vocals that I like. It's very frustrating to me because, yet again, I'm incredibly picky, and I just can't be satisfied with just things how they are. I have to change shit and alter it, and it's like going to a restaurant, bro. I can't just have a meal, man. I got to change it up. So,
well, it would be very interesting to listen to a podcast with Seal and say, everything about this is awesome. And,
dude, I asked a person the other day about that. They were like, why do you review albums you don't like? I'm like, why would I not? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I was so confused, bro. I was like, you're an idiot.
It's criticism. It's not always about liking and not liking.
That's exactly what I said. Dude, and then I said, I said, I review albums and I take my job seriously. And some guy's like, oh, so you think you're a serious music critic? And I was like, I don't know if I said it like that or not. That's not necessarily what I meant, but sure, if that's what you want to ask, then I would consider myself pretty serious what I do. I spend a lot of fucking time doing it. Like you may not agree with everything I say, but where are your videos at? Like if you think you're better at this than me, by all means, make a channel, cover punk rock. I will support it. I promise. It's not even no bullshit. Like I will absolutely support your channel. Like I think a lot of these people are afraid to do it, and they're looking at me and they're mad because I don't agree with them. Well, dude, start your own channel. It's okay. I'll support it. We can argue in your comment section too. It's fine. It's all about entertainment at the end of the day, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, Bad Religion, dude, we knocked out an hour on that shit. Hell yeah. I wasn't sure if we were going to get there. And then like I looked up and I was like, oh yeah, of course we were.
Yeah.
It's fucking me and Rob. We could probably talk another hour if we really wanted to.
We could. I think there's a few bands I could do like a podcast about the single band. I think Bad Religion's one. I could do like a podcast. Like
I could do 6 hours on Rancid, no problem. You want to throw side projects on there? We're doing an all-nighter.
We've done that before. Yeah.
I just did a tomorrow. I guess people won't see this until after this other one's up, but tomorrow I'm dropping the 25th anniversary of Lars and the Bastards with Gordy. I got Gordy on.
Talking to him?
Yeah, dude. Freaking love Gordy. That guy's super rad. We're like talking and he's like, hey man, before we get going, I don't mean to sound weird or anything, but did you lose a shitload of weight since the last time we talked? And I was like, yeah, bro. And he was like, man, you look awesome. I was like, man, thank you, bro. You made my day. Like, he's just so nice, bro. I love Gordy. That guy's awesome. Yeah, man, Bad Religion, great band. A lot of great songs, dude. I would love to hear people's thoughts. I want to hear what their top 5 songs are. I wish more of the comments were their top 5. People don't ever do that. They always go, well, you're wrong because okay, that's fine, but also throw your top 5 in there, man.
Add to the conversation.
Yeah, I want to see your top 5, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go find out the 30 comments with top 5s. I'm going to say, what song is the most in here that I don't know much, and I'm going to go to that song, and that might be one of my top songs later. Like, I changed my mind a lot. So if we did this exact same video in another 2 years, I would have a completely different list probably. Some of the same songs would show up, but it would be a different list for sure. But yeah, moving on. This ought to be interesting. All right, sir. It's time to talk about the Descendents. Okay, so let me preface this with anybody that's not familiar with my channel or not familiar with me or what I've done. About 2 years ago, I became a fan of this band. It just clicked for me one day. I just didn't like them much. Lyrically, I wasn't a fan, and oddly enough, that's a lot of what I like about them now. It's really, I'm an idiot. Okay, I can handle that. I just didn't. When I got a hold of this band, it wasn't for me. It took a long time and a few things to like kind of happen in my life to where when I was reintroduced to them much later, I was like, oh shit, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. And so again, surface level fan, but for a completely different reason. Bad Religion, I've been listening to since I was in high school. The Descendents, I've disliked since I was in high school. And so when I was like 41 years old, I was like, oh shit, it clicked. Like, it's very annoying. But my yeah, dude, I don't know. So you didn't do a honorable mention list for this either, right?
No, but I will say I did have one honorable mention.
Okay.
I have Everything Sucks from the self-titled album Everything Sucks, because it was on my initial top 5, and then there was another song from that album that bumped that off.
Okay.
That's for me, that's as good of like they do it often as like an opener. It's as good of like an album opener or a live opener as just Everything Sucks today. Like, how many days have you driven into work blasting that specific song? Not just theoretically, just like, let's put this song on as we go in, and it's as hyped as you can be, because you need to listen to that crap when you're on like half an hour of sleep and you're driving into work. That's what you need.
That song isn't even on my list anywhere, which I think is funny in hindsight, because now I'm going, that is a pretty fucking good song. Before we even get in any further, I tell you my honorable mentions, I want to just say American, it just sounds like Bad Religion being played by the Descendants. So it's a perfect song for this conversation. It would honestly, it almost made my list because of that. But I've got my favorite album by this band is a very odd one. Mine is Ninth and Walnut. So excuse me, I almost had 4 songs off that album on this list. I had to go back and force myself to listen to other albums again. And so I think I've got a pretty good list, but my honorable mentions are 3 songs. Actually, it's 4 songs, but 2 of them are off of Ninth and Walnut, because it's Nightage and I'm Shaky off of Ninth and Walnut are just songs I really enjoy. That album, I think, like front to back, is just really strong. But I also just I've become a fan of this band later in life, and then I discovered that album and what it was, and it's exactly what I want from these bands. I want old songs written like back in the day, recorded now, and that's what this is. It's like, well, of course I like this album. It's exactly what I want from a band from that era. And then Rotting Out off of Everything Sucks. I'd like to know if that band called Rotting Out was a big fan of this, or if it was just a coincidence. But that band is a band I like a lot, which made me pay attention to this song a little bit more. And I was like, oh shit. So I kind of just clung on to it because of that. And then Bikeage off of Milo Goes to College. Those are songs that I really enjoy. I could make this whole list off of Ninth and Walnut songs, but that all being said, let's talk a little bit more about Descendants, man. When did this band start?
They started around this. I think they officially started in like 79 official, but I think 1980. Then because there's like a few different versions of them, of like guys that Bill was kind of jamming with.
Yeah.
They were also part of another band that was kind of merged with the Descendants at the time. So there's a lot of like the history is a little fuzzy at the beginning, but I think Milo gets there. And that's when if we want to talk about like when Milo gets there, is I think 1980, 81. The guys in the band don't quite remember how Milo got there. They just knew like he was their friend, and then he was around, and then I think
just showed up one day, stayed here.
Yeah, and I think that's literally what it was. Like, it was just like other teenagers come to the garage to hang around the guys playing with the guitars, and it was like, hey, why don't you try singing this? I think it was something as simple as that. That's why none of them really remember how they just remember Milo wasn't with the band, and then he was.
That's hilarious, bro. Milo's an interesting dude, but so this band is, and I've come to realize that when I first heard Descendants, I thought they were like a pop punk band, and I just didn't like their lyrics much. And then as I got older, I realized that no, they're just a hardcore band that sings about girls. But that is what they are, dude. This is a hardcore punk band because their music sounds just like stuff that you could hear from anywhere from the Circle Jerks to Black Flag to there's a bunch of bands that have similar sounding songs musically to Descendants. Now their lyrical content and their vocal styling might be a little different, but Circle Jerks vocals, you could interchange that with Descendants a bit. There's a lot of similarities there. Now they're different guys, so their voices are different, but their vocal stylings are very similar.
Both those bands are very jokey too. It's just
right.
that like it's just that like Circle Jerks don't have the sweetness to them.
No, Circle Jerks they're much more pissed off.
Yeah, they're more like ironic, whereas like
he's still pissed off, dude.
There's like
calm down.
Well, he just turned 70, so he's got to. But like I think that's the difference is like you talk about like the Beatles or something like that. Like so like Dave Grohl always said that like the Descendants were like the Beatles on hardcore. And I think that's exactly like kind of a correct thing because they also have like those really like pretty pop rock songs that like Circle Jerks don't. Like that's where they can kind of differentiate themselves like big time.
That's a really good description actually.
Yeah. Well, and Dave always says like he feels like he learned how to play drums by listening to Milo Goes to College, which you hear a lot of these old punk drummers that like, especially back in the day when they would really mix the left and rights like properly. And it's like, you know, you have like the bass and guitar on one side or whatever it is, and just listening to that side of the album. And with punk rock drums specifically, because it's a little bit different, I guess, than I don't really understand drums a lot, but it's non-conventional in the way that it's played. And so a lot of people talk about learning from vinyl punk records. Specifically, Dave Grohl always talks about learning from Milo Goes to College.
Interesting. That's cool. I kind of want to get a copy of that and turn my left channel off and then play some of it and then turn my right channel off. I love records, dude. I love listening to vinyl, man. Just shit like that's fun, man. All right, hop off on your number 5 song.
Okay.
Do we have anything else to talk about with the Descendants before we start talking about the music?
No, I don't think so.
I do want to say this band is one of those bands that's kind of unique. They hold this place that nobody else really holds, but they're still incredibly influential because, I mean, if you think about it, they influence all kinds of different bands from hardcore, like modern hardcore bands, all the way down to like pop punk bands from the 90s. So Descendants are an incredibly important band. I'm glad I came around to them. I'm glad I figured out that I liked them a lot, and I'm glad I decided to give them another chance and that I actively understood it. That I was like, okay, I get it now. Because I did. One day I just got it, and it was it's weird, man, because I'm very picky of music, but it is simultaneously incredibly frustrating, but therapeutic to be like, oh, I get it. I finally get it. Good. Okay. And then I'm also like, well, damn, if I get it now, why didn't I get it back then? I don't know what I'm talking about, bro. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
All right. So number 5. And so this song, here's the one thing about the Descendants. So like the Descendants wouldn't be the Descendants without Milo. Like that is
no, they'd be all.
They'd be all. Yeah. That should go without saying.
That might be the thing that I clip out.
I mean, that's the most obvious thing anyone has ever ever said. That was kind of a bad way to frame that, being that we have an example of them without Milo.
That was funny, bro. That's gonna be the intro to this video, I think.
Okay, well let's use that. Okay, as Fat Mike said, there is 0% of the population that says that All is their favorite band over the Descendants. That's not exactly true. I have heard people. There's just people who found All first.
Oh, dude, I know a guy that says that, and I tell him he's an idiot every time he tells me. I'm like, stop it, bro. All is not better than Descendants. All is a mediocre version of.
I say all that to say Milo's an essential ingredient, but he's not that big of a songwriter within the history of the band. I think that's
Bill is, right?
Yeah, Bill's the main one, and the other guys have some iconic song writing credits to them. Milo, not as many, but number 5 on my list is a Milo song, and it bumped off Everything Sucks because it's essentially a continuation of that song on the same album, but I like this version better. It's This Place. So the chorus and the whole vibe of Everything Sucks is Everything Sucks. The chorus of this one is This Place Sucks. So now we have some diversity of what we're talking about that sucks. And it is literally, so we talk about their influence. Mark Hoppus of Blink-182, he talked about in his book, his 2 favorite bands, like his 2 most influential bands were The Cure and The Descendants.
What
and
a mix.
He liked The Cure first, like he found them first and he really resonated with them. That's why he wanted to play bass and all that. But like their lyrics, he could never really connect to. Meanwhile, the Descendants, what's kind of great, like, and this is where their contrast with Bad Religion. Like, you need a thesaurus and a professor and all this to understand a Bad Religion lyric. you need nothing to understand. You need like knowledge of the English language to understand
you
this
need like maybe
Descendants
Saved
lyrics.
by the Bell. Like,
Yeah, that's really it, because like everything is just right, and that's what Mark Hoppus said. Like the lyrics are just so like blatant in what they're talking about. There's no hidden meanings. It's like it's all very real and very grounded. And the song is just about not liking going to work at like your corporate job. And again, this is written by Milo. So you got to remember Milo, just like the guy from the other band, went to college, is a doctorate. Probably had to work in some stuffy zones that just seemed so lame compared to like being in the club with Bill Stevenson at 2 a.m. And Milo, like the guys from Bad Religion, not really like a wild guy, not a partier, never touched alcohol or anything like that, but as angry as the rest of them. And that's something about the Descendants. So Bad Religion's canon, like they get tamer as they get older in their lyrical content. Their early stuff, we talk about like that stuff on Suffer, that stuff's really angry and rebellious, and it tames out a little bit. The Descendants are almost the opposite. Their early stuff is more about like how like the good lives they're going to live and all of that stuff. Their later music is a lot angrier. I think as they became older men, that you just become, more angry with life. And I love this place. Like there's some ridiculous lyrics. Like here at the beginning, I haven't found a single friend in 3 whole years. There's nobody here but the Bible boys talking about their white bread politics. Got to leave the room because you're making me sick. Got to leave this place. This place sucks. Now, on the one hand, you could say those are the most childish, whatever, no thinking lyrics. Correct. That is what I am looking for here from one of the smartest people in the world. So I'll take all of this.
That is my number 3, by the way.
Oh, good.
Yeah, dude. So my notes are very simple. It just says, I mean, don't we all hate our jobs? Like, this is the spiritual successor to Take This Job and Shove It.
Yeah, it's the country version of
dude, I love that song, man. Yeah. And this is the kind of song that, like, literally, I'd be listening to this song while cleaning up at work.
Mm-hmm.
Taking out the trash. This place sucks.
Jared Gaines has a flash art for a little flash for every song on this album, but his one for this song is great because it's like it's some skeleton, but in like a suit and tie, sitting at a computer with a spider web coming out his head. Like it's
Dude,
a perfect like punk rock Descendants.
Awesome. I'll get that tattooed on me.
Yeah, I do have. You can't see it there. I have. I'll talk about the song it's referred to. I got a print of Jared that I have up there. Descendants Rise. I'll reference it later. Then I realize it's on the list.
That's awesome, dude. All right. Well, are we moving on to my number 5?
Yeah.
My number 5 is called Ride the Wild. It is off of Ninth and Walnut. I had to put a song off that album as my number 5, and I decided to go with other albums from 4, 3, 2, 1. So that way anybody can wonder I'm not putting some crazy songs my number 1. You're like, this is some deep cut off of Ninth and Walnut. It's got a fantastic melody and chorus. The lyrics are great. Guitar solos in there. If you haven't heard Ninth and Walnut, I urge you to go give that album a thorough listen. It is literally a time capsule because it was written in the 80s and recorded in like the 2010s.
So
like
it's got 3 different points. It's written in the 80s. Part of it was worked on with that original lineup in like 2002. And then it was refined and fully like the vocals and everything in like 2020.
So crazy, dude. Like so crazy. And this song is probably my favorite song on the album. And so that's how it wound up at my number 5. And to be very transparent, I've only heard this album probably 7 or 8 times, 10 times, maybe 10, because it's fairly new to me because I'm fairly new to the band. So, but I discovered it kind of on my own. I was at a record store in Oakland, Thrill House Records. Shout out Thrill. I'm so glad I remember the name of that place. Shout out Thrill House Records. That place is awesome. And as far as I know, as far as I understand, everybody there works, donates their time. Like it's a community run place.
Oh, nice.
But when I went in there, it was amazing. It was like mostly punk and metal. It was a really cool place. But I picked it up and I was talking to Nitty and Kevin about it, and I was like, man, this album's always intrigued me. And then they kind of explained to me like, yeah, it's because it's kind of on the sticker, but it's 2 sentences of information. And they kind of explained to me, I think it might have been Kevin even told me like, no, this is actually what that album is. And I was like, oh, dude, so I bought it. So I'm pretty new to this record. I heard it like once before that. And then that's why I picked it up. I was like, oh, I've heard this album. I like this one. Why do I like it? And then Kevin's like, probably because it's an old album recorded in modern times. And I'm like, oh, shit. And that's exactly what I like about it. But I'm not going to have a whole lot to say about most of these songs because I'm surface level. So that song is an incredibly good song. So
I don't know that song, but shout out to that album. It's not represented on my list. And that's really the function of time. of that, like, just haven't lived with those songs as much. But what's crazy too is most of those songs were new to Milo in 2020 when he found it. Like they predated Milo. And again, he wasn't the songwriter. So like that was part of the process that Bill loved about this, was getting to show Milo kind of like proto Descendants and having Milo
that is pretty insane.
These songs. Yeah. I really like that album. I also want to, I don't even know the name of it. I think it's whatever their 2016 album, Hyper-Res Suffocation or whatever.
Yeah, that one I don't know much about.
It's a really good album. And it's essentially all the Descendants themes through the filter of like middle age. Like, there's a song about low testosterone, all kinds of like again, Descendant style subject matter, but written for people between the ages of 40 and 60.
That's awesome.
And a lot of like positive songs on there. I talked about all the anger that they pulled up later career, where there is some cool like sunny day songs on that album too. Are we on my next one then?
Yeah, number 4.
Okay, so number 4, a title track, and it is the title track off of 2004's "Cool to Be You," another album that I love, like beginning to end. I really do love that album, and that was like their second or third comeback after 1997. It came out on Fat Records. It's their one that they have out on Fat. This one is written by Carl Alvarez. Here's the thing about the Descendants. They have a lot of different members over the years, but there's like hardly any that are like disliked by the fans. Like some like one more than other, but all of them have like songwriting contributions, and they're all like, I would say like full Descendants throughout their time. And Carl Alvarez is a great bass player, and I really like all the songs. I don't know what he was going through in 2004, but whatever he was filling on that album, I just like lyrically everything that he contributed. And Cool to Be You, it's this whole story of this, any situation, say if me and this guy we had a separation or a split. Well, what do? You kind of contrast yourself to that person and everything about them. And obviously when you're in the dumps, you think of all the things that person has and all the things you don't. And that's the whole theme. It must be pretty cool to be you and everything, you got a loving family, and and my family, we love each other so much. We live 1,000 miles away and never stay in touch. I was raised in the church. I was thought to believe. I wonder if God ever believes in me. Like for every line, there's that sort of counter narrative. And it's petty. It's not necessarily healthy, but it's what we do as human beings. And then I love that he even addresses it in the song. There's a part here. What can I do? I know this bitter jealousy is wrong, and maybe I'll move and find a brand new place where I don't belong, and some friends I'll never know, new places I can't go, because everywhere I've been on the outside looking in. Now, there's rarely any of us that everything is as dramatic as it feels in the moment, but in the moment it feels dramatic as hell. And it's what you are really feeling. And that's the thing. Like, I won't talk about many of the specifics, but that was what, like, for Bad Religion, to me, it's almost like universal music and forever and eternal music. This music's so specific. Like, and it's that relationship that I think Descendants fans have with, like, I've got like a diary entry, I feel like, for almost every one of their songs. Like there's something where I've put my brain has, like, I've gotten through something or thought about it through the filter of that Descendants song. And Cool to Be You is one that definitely hits that mark for me. It expresses the feelings that you have about something better than you can. And that's what great songwriting does.
I love it when a song expresses something that you're like, I was trying to figure out a way to say that. Thank you. Like, Rancid does it a lot for me when I'll say something and I'm like, that's exactly how I was feeling. I couldn't articulate it. Before I go to my number 4, that song is fantastic. I don't have a ton of experience with it, but I like it a lot. That whole album is pretty great. You mentioned bass players, and it reminded me that when I was talking about Ninth and Walnut earlier, one thing I didn't mention that I wanted to was the bass playing on that album. The production and the mix on that record is so good. I like it when there's a band or an album or a song even that when you're listening to it, you have a fully pronounced bass line, but it doesn't drown out anything else because it's kind of a clean channel bass with like a distorted guitar, and it's pulled up to the front, but it's clean. So it's not like it's like dum, and you can hear it going boom, dum, 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 over all these. Dude, I don't know how they get to that point because I'm not an engineer, but on Ninth and Walnut, I really enjoy the bass playing because you can hear it very well, and it just sounds really good to me. Like it's pleasing to my ears. The when you brought up the bass player, I immediately remembered that I wanted to mention that. So I'm
Yeah,
sorry for going back to that.
No, Carl's great, and both bass play. Like I said, his thing is he wanted to have the legacy that Lombardo had, who was the bass. Like he wanted to mimic his playing. He wasn't one of these guys that wanted to do his own thing. He wanted to mimic the guy and kind of add to that. And I think both guys are fingerstyle players, which is insane when you think about how those bass lines and the speed that they play with. I think both guys are fingerstyle. Very rare in punk.
That is wild.
Yeah.
So my number 4 is off of Milo Goes to College. It is Hope. I don't know how you feel about that song, but it's one of the first songs that I heard by the Descendants and actually liked before I was even a fan of them. Where I was like, because you can be like, man, I'm not a big fan of this band, but there's always going to be some songs that you like. This is one of those. I liked it, and I was just like, it's an angry emo anthem. Like, I don't see how you could possibly listen to this song and not call it emo. Like, it is so just angry and incel-esque. Like, it's just
someday my day will come.
Fuckers, like, but yeah. When he comes home, you'll be in his arms and I'll be gone. My goodness, dude, you sad bastard. Like, come on, bro. But I know my day will come. I know someday I'll be the only one. Do you? Do you though? Do you? I don't know if you do. You're trying to convince yourself of this. What are we doing? Yeah, man. It's just a good song. Again, I revert back to that. I'm a surface level fan, so I don't have a lot of deep stuff to say about this, but I just really enjoy this song a lot.
I think Hope was unquestionably the first Descendants song I was familiar with, and not even by them. Because I will say both the bands we're talking about today, I found, shout out, because we haven't done this in a long time. We haven't shouted out Sublime as we normally used to.
Oh, damn. Yeah.
I found both of these bands through 40 Ounce of Freedom. When I was a teenager, because there's a cover of "We're Only Gonna Die of Our Own Arrogance" on that album from Bad Religion, and there's a cover of Hope, and the cover of Hope is almost it sounds on 1994 recording equipment versus 1983 is really
so long. I forgot they covered that song.
Yeah, and they do it well. Like they probably do you might argue a better version of it. It's very good.
Dude, the third verse in this song though is just so crude. Like I love it. Anybody could put the word cock in a punk song and make it sound anything other than silly is pretty it's pretty
no
fantastic.
it's still a sad song. That's what makes it like, that's where you could see the Blink-182 where they influenced Blink-182 is like Blink-182 is like the saddest music about fart jokes, and that's exactly what the Descendants were like the pioneers of. That's
a good point. I'll be there. My day will come. I know someday I'll be the only one. My day, man, boy, you are wishing and a hoping, my friend. This guy's sitting there watching this girl go from guy to guy to guy, and he's just like, I'll get her one day. And by the time you do, she's gonna look like an Arby's roast beef sandwich. What are we doing, my friend? Move on. Go find you a nice girl at the library. The hot chick at the bar is not gonna do it for you, I promise.
There was definitely Bill. I don't know. So I don't know who exactly wrote Hope, but someone in the Descendants camp was wronged by a girl that went with like some badass, like some like drug addicted, alcohol infused punk rocker stole like Bill's girl. And he wrote like 3 albums, I think, just like angry at that dude.
I mean, yes, probably.
Like that's totally what happened.
All right. Why don't you do your number 3 and 2, because my 3 was your number 5.
Okay.
And then I'll jump back in with my number 2.
Let me go to of the 3 I have left. They're all pretty big ones, and this is one of the more cliche ones when you think of the Descendants. It's not Hope, but on the same album, this one written by Frank Nevada, Parents. Parents is a very unique song because it's a little bit angrier than even all that angry stuff that I said that they do have in their catalog. Now, to the argument, like you're saying, that the subject matter is just different, it basically sounds the same. I think if Frank Nevada would have had more influence on the Descendants, they would blend in a lot more with the other hardcore bands that they were, because his lyrics in general, he was just like kind of an angrier dude, and he was a little bit deeper dude, passed away younger, had some issues, you know what I mean? He was just sort of that kind of cloth. And the song Parents, you can say it's corny, you can say it's trite, and if your criticism of punk rock is that it's a bunch of like kids that are mad because their mom made them, sweep up in the kitchen or something, you can have that thought and that theory if you want to be ignorant about what you're talking about. And again, a song like Parents, what are we really talking about? It's not that deep. Parents, why don't they shut up? parents, they're so fucked up. They treat me like a tool. They take me for a fool. Yes, that is sort of middle school lyrics. Correct. That is exactly what that is. But it's also just the way that Milo delivers it, the anger in the song, and it's freaking 1981. So I'm a parent. You're a parent. I like the idea of parents, but something in my soul, I still hate parents. Like, I will always hate parents because that's just who I am. There's something about the idea of parents and authority that I just don't like. Yes,
that's
kind
the
of
word.
weird.
It's the authority.
It's the authority, and
like,
that's
stop telling me what to do all the time. I'm 44 almost. Stop telling me to do this.
Yeah,
my
and
mom,
especially
to this day, bro, I will get on the phone with her and be like, "Would you stop it? I'm not a child. I have a teenager of my own. Like, I've got 3 kids and I own 2 businesses. Like, would you stop telling me how to just breathe? Like, I get it. I can breathe.
Yeah,
I promise."
I'm older than my mom was at any point that she was a parent of mine, like, from birth to 18. And yeah. And it's still, it's just, there's a certain visceral thing that those authority figures can kind of give you. And a lot of what punk rock does is tap into that sort of anger. And again, sometimes it's from deep, dark places, abusive places. And sometimes it is just the person that's asking you to sweep up or whatever it is. The whole idea of punk rock is you kind of want to do your own thing. And you know what? I'm a parent. I don't understand. I am fucked up. Those things are true of me as well. It's the cycle of things.
Dude,
but I just want to comment too. The way, again, Milo doesn't seem like a very angry guy. He delivers this, like when he says, "I will kill and I'll destroy," it seems like his freaking head is going to explode. Maybe he's the angry dad. I don't know, but shout out to all the parents in real life that I just, shouted down. You guys are all doing a great job. Respect, but also F parents.
I've been having to come to terms with and cope with the fact that my kid doesn't give a shit about what I'm doing or saying, or like I'm looking at Parker and I get genuinely sad when I think about like the fact in like 5 years he won't care about me no more, and I'm like, I'm gonna hang out with him as much as I possibly can, because in 5 years, 6 years, he's gonna be like, I got my own things to do. He'll be in whatever thing he's doing, and like right now they're all in karate and they go to karate class every couple of days now, and like I go sometimes, but I work in the evenings, so like it's hard for me to go to all of them. And every time I don't go, I'm sad for like the entire 2 hours they're gone. I'm like, dude, I want to be up there with them hanging out. But yeah, dude, parents, it's a weird thing being a parent. Being an authority figure while also being like fuck authority is super weird. You better do what I say, but we can go out there and protest these bastards. Like
my son told me in a moment of like pure honesty, like a month ago, that when I got into my profession, he thought I sold out. Like that was this exact words he told me. Like that he was disappointed in me. I'm like, what the hell?
Did you tell him, no, son, I didn't sell out. I bought in.
I am the future. I should have done the whole rant.
Dude, great movie.
I'm the lawyer guy. That's what's bad. I'm the
yeah, I guess. Guy. Yeah. What's your number 2, Rob?
All right. Okay. Let me sit up here after talking about the parents. Now, again, we talked about
the straight, sir.
Yeah, we talked about the Beatles kind of thing earlier. This song is sort of that wave. It is from 1987's album All. Now, really quickly on the album All, that one could have the density of the most songs that I like. It just has some very experimental songs that I think don't quite land. They're not even that silly. It's like this is peak Bill being in both the Descendents and Black Flag. And to be honest with you, I think he was trying to do some Black Flag style songs within the Descendents, so they don't always land. But there are other songs on that album that I absolutely love, and one of them at the top, Cambridge is really good. Coolidge is really good, but I got to go with Clean Sheets. I love Clean Sheets.
What's with all the edge at the end of their songs?
I think there's no real meaning to it. They just sort of made that up early on, and it kept going. Yeah,
that makes me happier actually that it's not something silly, that it is something actually silly.
Just like it's like an old man says, this is pipage, or this. It's this. I think a lot of their humor comes from Bill Stevenson being on that fishing boat, like for both his.
For real.
So that's why he kind of has like that old man humor.
Man, look, let me be very clear about this. If I could interview any, like my top 5 people is Bill Stevenson. Like more than anybody else in this band. I know Milo would probably get the most views, but Bill's the guy, because I'm like, man, I want to hear from this guy because he's my favorite drummer to watch.
I want to be Bill when I grow up. That's what I
right?
always think. Isn't he like? He's like the most impressive guy. Like in like.
I love
Yeah,
watching him play drums too, man. He's a
like
fascinating
he's a
person.
psycho. He's a
Dude, he's a robot, bro.
Bill's a maniac. Like, can we should say that Bill is in the best possible way. He's a freaking maniac.
Dude,
And
what was that claymation fighting show on MTV? They should have Bill Stevenson go up against Fletcher.
oh yeah, that's the battle of the maniacs. I gotta know.
That is Fletcher, bro.
That is a clean living maniac versus a hard living maniac. I don't know.
100%.
I don't know what we're gonna do. So speaking of Bill wrote the song Clean Sheets. Now, a lot of those really pretty songs that I talk about that the Descendants have, Bill is the writer of most of those. Bill has a fantastic sense of melody and pop songwriting and all that. We talked about before. We don't really know of him working with anyone in the mainstream, but I'm pretty sure he can make a hit for people.
For sure.
If he worked with those people. Now, Clean Sheets, he talked about, he came up with the chorus of Clean Sheets laying in his bed one morning, and like the whole, he kind of hummed it and had the lyrics and they came out. And I think the way they're delivered, let me just read them off to you. It says here.
Yeah, I'm looking. That's what I was looking at right now as I'm looking at the lyrics.
Even though you'll never come clean, you know it's true. Those sheets are dirty, and so are you. But the way he sings it, those sheets are dirty, and so are you. And it's just like it's that sadness that you can put into, like when he's singing that dude sounds sad. And the whole lyrical premise of the song is like, hey, I was kind of crashing at your place. We were kind of doing our thing, and you're not admitting that those sheets are dirty, but it also you're kind of the only place I'm staying, and this is what's going on. So like the whole thing is just sort of, crumbling down.
Dude, instability will make you write some great songs, man.
It really will. He talks about that. He said, like, I never like woke up and thought about like, oh, Reagan's pissing me off, so I gotta write this song. I more woke up like that evil woman pissed me off, so I gotta write this song.
Yeah.
And that was just it helped differentiate them though a lot, I think, from the space of those bands. Clean Sheets also has a really cool dueling guitar part at the beginning that actually sounds like a lot of like No Effect songs that you hear later on.
Nice.
The production, I think we talked about like with Suffer, like clearly one of the reasons why Suffer was a better album is Brett just really knew how to record so much better by doing everything that he had done previously. I think all the years of being in Black Flag and all that DIY stuff, by the time they got to the all lineup, the band is just so very tight and they write really good songs. And to be clear, the lineup hasn't changed since then either. So clearly there's some chemistry there between that version of the band that was on this album. So I think that album is the first album that they sound pretty good on those early 80s albums. They sound better than a lot of early 80s punk does in terms of production value. But once you get to like All in 87, it's already 80s albums that sound like really, really good. I think Bill, for whatever influence he had on the recording, he just kind of was trying to really apply his craft and knew how to make really good sounding albums from early on.
Why do you think people are so quick to hate on good production?
I think they confuse that with like lack of talent or with making it too nice to be appealing. Like they confuse it with like a pop sensibility, I think.
Because I'm like, man, I like a good production, but some of these punk kids really don't.
I think you can have stylistic, like I don't like sometimes an even modern, like more modern pop punk where the instruments aren't distinctive because the production is so good. Like that I kind of take issue with.
I like a good production. I don't like overproduced.
Clean production is good. Yeah, I think clean production is what I think is desirable.
You can go record on a 4-track if you want. It could still sound good. I'm just talking about it's put in the work. Don't just bring me something that sounds like you're screaming in a trash can and it's just echoey and I don't know, man. Make sure you play to a click track so it's all on the same exact time. There's, I hate when you listen to a song on like a demo and you can tell that they don't know how to keep time because within one song it starts off like, I don't know what the numbers, but like at a higher BPM, then it slows down, then it picks back up, and you're like, bro, come on, guys.
I've heard punk rock DJs complain about that. The BPM matching is like impossible in punk rock because the chorus, the third chorus is much slower than the second one, but you would think they sound exactly the same. It's just slower.
That's funny. This song is good. I was reading the lyrics when we were talking. All is an album that I don't have a lot of experience with, but maybe I'll change that. Like I said, man, if we did this video in a couple of years, I would. Dude, I can't quit fidgeting tonight. I'm so sorry. I'm just moving. I think if we did this in a couple of more years, I would have a completely different
to expand
list.
your knowledge of the songs too.
Yeah, I'd probably have a much deeper understanding of their catalog. There's a couple of albums I've really not listened to much, and then there's a couple that I like that I need to go back and listen to more. And then I still don't even have a lot of experience with the classics because I'm fairly new to the band. So, what's your number 2?
That was my number 2. Clean Sheets.
Oh, what was number 3?
Number 3 was Parents.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah. Okay. It just went by a little quicker than I expected it to. Okay, my number 2 is off of Milo Goes to College. It's Suburban Home. Because
my number 1.
I mean, like, how could that not be up there for us? Angsty suburban punk. Most of us can relate. Not every punk's from the city. I'm sorry.
So, how do you take this song lyrically? What do you think it's saying? Like, what do you think the point of it is?
Fuck, dude. Hold on. Let me reread the lyrics so I can answer that question the right way.
So the guy who wrote it actually,
based on you asking me that question, I'm thinking I don't have the right answers.
Well, I'd be curious to know. I will say, so Lombardo, the guy who wrote it. Here's a funny little side note about him. He's 80 years old right now. The guy who wrote this song. So he was in his mid 30s in the Milo era. So like
that's wild.
He literally left after like the first album to go be a postman because everyone laughs about him for that. And I guess he's had a lot of issues over the years, like dealing with that. But like, think about it. You're in a punk band with a bunch of 18-year-olds. I think like he had like a family and stuff. Yeah. Being a postman seems like a much better career choice at the time. And honestly, in the long run, it probably was, but it drives him nuts. I think to this day that he kind of gave up a chance to be in the band like that.
Okay. So just to clarify, I reread them real quick just to make sure I wasn't going to answer this the whole wrong way. No, I think I got the lyrics fine. I think I understood what they were saying. Is that you're okay with the mid, for lack of a better word, life of a suburbanite.
Like existence.
Like why the fuck do I want to be on the road barely making it when I could just go live in a 3-bedroom house with 2.5 baths and have a dog and a wife, 2.5 kids, and a job I hate? Well, because that's your 2 choices right there. You can either do that or you go on the road and be broke. I personally like to be on the road and be broke. But there is a lot of appeal to living in the suburbs. Like, there's a lot of appeal to it, man. Better schools, easier to get around, typically cleaner, a little bit less crime. But I'll take the crime. I'll take the muck and the dirt because I fucking thrive in that shit, man. I love it. But yeah, dude, okay. So yes, I think my note being written down, it says angsty suburban punk, is actually not really what I meant. I just wrote it down because I was like laughing at the song,
right? And I wasn't being critical of that. I genuinely
no. I just was like,
it's a big like rhetorical question. I think of what this song is about.
And so like I put most of us can relate at the end of my notes, and I'm like, yeah, most of us can relate to like what the song means. Like we can relate to being like wanting normalcy, repetition. What do you call that? Like a schedule. Like we can. It's easy to know when I know what I'm getting paid every Friday night after work. I know what my bills are getting paid. Okay, I'm good. But when you're on the road or you're in a band and you're with a bunch of fucking idiot kids, like, dude, you don't know what's going to happen. And it's like security is the word I'm looking for. You got some security. Being my age now, having the things that I do now, like I'm going on tour in April with Poppers for a few days. And like, I'm not worried about that because it's one time. I'm going to go do my thing. We're going to have some fun. I'm going to film a bunch of stuff. But if I had to like do that shit all the time, I don't know that I could, man. Like I think I like to be comfortable too much. But at the same time, I like the city. I like the fast life. I've had houses where it was like, man, I can't believe you live here. Like, straight up. I've had places that if I showed you where I lived, Rob, you would be like shocked. You'd be like, dude, you really lived here? I'm like, yeah. There was holes in our floor, holes in the ceiling with a tarp over it. I didn't know any of my roommates, and there was 3 of them. Like, we didn't know each other. Like, it was the wildest place, dude. But it was basically the place to store my shit. Like, I was never there. I was always in Houston at a show or at a thing or at an event or working or hanging with my girl at the time. Like, whatever I was doing, it was never there. I went there to go pick up clean clothes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the chaos of punk rock life is not always appealing to everybody. So, I want to be stereotyped. I want to be classified. I get it. I feel you, bro. I feel you. I don't necessarily want it bad enough to do it, but I wouldn't mind singing about it a little bit. It's a daydream for me, but it's strictly that. It's a daydream. Like, I don't know if that answers your question or not, but that's what it is for me.
It does, because I wanted to know what your take of it was, because I think that the song can have like a lot of, and there's been debate because some people that took it initially as like the, a lot of punk rock, which is like this rage against the suburbs. And then other people, which sort of take it
kind of what I said in my first part of the comment was it was like angsty suburban punk, but I was kind of being cheeky. But yeah, but yes, I mean,
but
you
then
can look at it two ways.
Is it a comment on that sort of concept? You know what I mean? Is the other thing that I think they have sort of implied
it's ambiguous. Like you can look at it in multiple ways. Like you can just be like, okay,
because it can be legit. I want a suburban home, or are you sort of like, oh,
are you being sarcastic? Yeah. I look at it as, well, I mean, if you just read the words, it feels like it's somebody that's tired of like insecurity, like the lack of security. They're tired of being the fast life of punk.
Well, and again, you got to the guy who wrote the song was like 35 years old at the time.
See, I didn't know all that, but that when you said that, it makes so much sense to me.
Hanging out with a bunch of like nihilistic kids, not necessarily the members of the Descendants, but like the scene, in general. And I've always sort of taken it the way you were saying it, the way I've always taken it, the way I've always been just like, I feel like I've lived and sustained off of the music of the suburbs for sure, but I've never really like quite lived in one. And it's always been sort of like this sort of idealist, like there is this sort of idea of like that idealistic life. And it's both a goal and then the thing I also like resent very, very like deeply in some ways. And I think this song kind of represents some of, or at least to me, represents some of like that tension where like, obviously, if you put all the BS aside, that's kind of the ideal that, like you were saying, that sort of mid-level thing that we all do kind of want. And that's also what, if you want to take it really deep, that's also what people don't have. And it's like what you were saying is like, not everyone is from the suburbs. And I think there's a bit of that sentiment in the song too. I don't know, truthfully. And I think if it was someone other than Lombardo who wrote the song, maybe we'd get a little more commentary on what exactly it's about. It doesn't really matter, but it's just, it's an interesting takeoff of, pretty simplistic lyrics in some ways.
I will say this, since it's art, it can be taken any way you want to take it. I do personally think it's a two-sided coin, because I think that now that I'm talking about it, I probably look at it, depends on when I heard it. I probably looked at it both ways.
Yeah. Like, and I've had that relationship with it as well.
Looking at it from a 43-year-old's perspective, I'm like, oh yeah, man, I definitely understand the desire to have some normalcy. Like, what is normal? I can tell you what normal is, dude. It's fucking house in the suburbs with a car note and a wife and some kids. That's what normal is. Or a partner and some kids, however you want to phrase that.
Yeah, and I think that's probably contrast to, again, in Hollywood, where you're either one of the celebrities that's living, you ain't living in the suburbs, you're living in like Beverly Hills.
That's not normal.
Or, you're living the real tough life on, in the
or you're homeless
and doing that. Yeah. And so it's kind of like, yeah, maybe just that's okay. And then it's also, I think, and then screw all these hippies too, which has always been a sentiment in punk in a lot of ways. And it's kind of, but it is until all the countercultures kind of merged.
I was saying we're modern day hippies, my man.
Yeah, nowadays it's like, oh, okay, you're weird, cool, we're friends. But we talked about a lot of that. The punk stuff is like the annoying, especially by the time you get to the late 70s, how overwrought the hippie movement is. I mean, it really is just a fashion movement, or like a bunch of washed out like acid people. You know what I mean? It's kind of at the end of its run. So these guys that come of age in like the early 80s, like screw that. That's the parents. That's the old people's way of being, of being this way. I didn't think we would get such a deep conversation out of this song, but
I know it's funny.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Hey, dude, this is the beauty of talking punk rock, man. You never know where it'll take you. All right, my friend, we each have one left. Wait, no, yours was.
Yeah, that was my number one. Yeah.
So my number one is, I don't know how this is going to go over people. Mine, it's off I Don't Want to Grow Up. What song do you think it is? There's only one, man.
Good Things?
Good Things, yeah. Yeah, that song's awesome, man. I just put, the song is just so friggin' good. I like the recording quality and the vocals. There's a great verse, leads up to a fantastic chorus. You can sing along to it. The sappy love songs are why we keep coming back to this band, honestly. And Good Things it's a perfect, like I almost mentioned it earlier, dude. Drain covers this freaking song. Like I didn't even know it was a Descendants song when I first heard it, because I heard it the first time I heard it. The first time I was aware of it, I'm sure I've heard it before, but the first time I was aware of it, I was listening to Drain talking about him. Somebody goes, "That's a Descendants song," and I was like, in my head, I was like, "Dude, that makes so much sense. This sounds like a freaking Descendants song." And I went and listened to it. I was like, "Oh yeah, this band is this is exactly the kind of it honestly was one of the catalysts to me liking the band. You know, I'm not fucking cool, dude. I don't know what I'm talking about. The song's awesome. That doesn't matter. If you don't like it, I don't understand.
Milo, for being like the resident nerd of punk rock, Milo sounds cool as shit in this song. Like in that last verse, like he sounds like a 1950s like James Dean style like singer. The way he's, you know. So I'm looking at there. So come down, walk with me, tell me I'm your man. Like the way he delivers all that is with such confidence. Yeah. It sounds again. That's that sort of, I don't know what that part of music that they brought into that sort of charming love song. It's almost like they did the Ramones thing again. You know, they're like another evolution of the way the Ramones were approaching it with a lot of that like lovey-dovey rock. You know what I mean?
Right.
They also have a bit of that, but being further evolved than the Ramones into hardcore and into punk. So it's kind of interesting take on them. Also, they used the bar chords a lot, like the Ramones did too. That's a random thing, but they did do that.
It's easy to do.
Use the whole hand.
Dude, the chorus is so fucking good. I've been thinking good things about you, cool and warm, good things about you. If you've been thinking good things about me, so cool and warm when you put your arms around me. Look, man, I'm sappy as shit, bro. I got Hopeless Romantic tattooed on my knuckles, and it's like 75% because of the Bouncing Souls. It's 25% because that's who I am. Like,
man, if Bill ever was single, he sure probably didn't stay it long with those kind of lyrics. Jeez.
Right. This song is one of those ones that I'm like, yeah, I mean, as cliche as it may sound, this is like the song I think of and go, yeah, that's the Descendents to me.
It's got a cool build up to with like the palm muting and stuff in the verse. And it like when it gets to that. Yeah, almost like going into that sort of that like 80s kind of pop rock feel, the way it's sort of like accented right there, but it does it really well.
It's a good song at the shows. They play it well live. Like you said, the palm muted verse part where it's kind of like bringing in because the chorus is kind of big on this song. I don't know. Yeah.
These songs are really well arranged. That's another Bill Stevenson, I think, compliment.
Yes. So come on down and walk with me and tell me I'm your bro. The song's so fucking good, dude. Like, and I can't sing very well, so I'm not gonna try to. But like, it's funny because a guy that can't sing very well sure made the song sound good. Because I don't think that Milo's objectively a great singer. He's an awesome vocalist. I like him, but like, I don't think that there's something special about his vocals.
I think later in whether his voice has changed or he's learned how to sing, like you can tell, like he's got a style now on those last couple albums. But a lot of this stuff was like screaming. It was like emotion more so than
angry.
Singing. Yeah,
angry like fucking nerdy cat, just trying to be like, I'm pissed.
And what an archetype that became for like everyone who ever got into punk rock ever again. I don't know. Maybe there was like one guy ever who was like, you know, I'm cool and everything's going good for me. Let me listen to the crappiest music ever. There was some guy that did that.
That guy listens to Sugar Ray.
Yes, that's what that guy did. He was like, this is cool. That's what that guy found. The really cool alternative guy. That's what he found.
That shit is funny, bro. My man, every morning, shut the fuck up. Like.
Again, like Mark McGrath, probably objectively one of the coolest guys ever. Like again, probably was never single for longer than about 10 minutes in his life.
Dude, I had a girlfriend in school that had the biggest crush on that guy, so I've hated that motherfucker since I was in like 8th grade, dude.
I think I've always had this thing like not exactly a man crush, but I've always thought like that guy is cool. Like I can identify. I don't like his music or any other discernible talent he has. He just seems like he was a cool dude.
Yeah, dude. He probably was a cool dude. There's a bunch of guys like that. The guys that I look at and think that guy's a cool dude, they're not as cool as I think they are probably. I like objectively weird people. Like I'm always like, that guy looks cool. They're like, that guy over there eating the peanut butter and jelly out of the trash can. I'm like, yeah, that guy's probably pretty rad. Like he's got a lot to talk about. He's got some ideas. Oh man, that was a fun conversation.
That was.
Do you want to do another top 5 songs, or do you want to go back to a couple of albums, or what do you want to
do? Let's do a couple of albums and we'll go back to top 5. Let's kind of do like a back and forth.
Back and forth
of the two.
Awesome. What do you have any album? You said that kind of quick. So what albums are you thinking?
Of what?
You have anything in mind?
Yeah. So I've been listening. Let me look at the name of the album.
Oh shit! Here we go.
but I think it's called Into Darkness. It's the original Agent Orange
Into
album.
Darkness. Sorry.
What the heck? And then I Google Agent Orange and a bunch of stuff about Vietnam comes up.
Oh shit, Agent Orange.
Yeah.
Dude, I had like a personal beef with this band for a while.
Oh wow.
Yeah, my band opened up for them and they talked a bunch of shit about us, and I got on stage and like, yeah, I ruined their night. It was honestly kind of awesome. I'm sure they don't remember that shit, but I do.
Living in Darkness is the
Living in Darkness
is the album that I'm gonna put out. That could be one of them. And then see, I always like to do something from like 80s punk and then like some piece of mall punk.
Romance said some piece of mall punk.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Like something that'll enhance my credibility and then something that'll immediately like
revoke that enhancement.
Yeah.
That is funny as shit, dude. What albums do I want to pick? Hold on, I'm thinking too. I gotta come up with something, man. I'm feeling like something poppy, something happy. That's not good though. I don't need to do that to myself. Yeah. Oh, I got one, and it is not poppy or happy.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. Murder City Devils. Do you like them?
Okay, I've heard them before.
Okay, let's go with oh man, Empty Bottles, Broken Hearts, or In Name and Blood. Give me 1 second. In Name and Blood. Sorry, I don't know what's wrong with me tonight. I do. R word. Let's see. Okay, track listing, please. Are you still looking for another record?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Take your time. I can always edit this part out. All right, everybody. We'll see y'all next time on the episode. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Listen to all these songs we're talking about. This stuff's important, man. Support these bands. I know some of them are legacy acts. Most of them at this point are legacy acts. But without that music, we wouldn't have new punk rock. So, yeah, please go support these bands. Do it off Spotify if you can. I know Rob still listens. Most people I know are still on Spotify, but I'm trying to make a push to get off that platform and get as many people off of it as I can. You know, they're doing things that I think are pretty gross. So anyways, all that aside, love you guys. Thank you for hanging out. It was a long conversation. It was a lot of fun. We'll see you in the next punk rock review. Fucking peace.